All right, so I want to chat a little bit about the transmutation of energy, another universal law, because that's really what we're doing. If you want to go from where you are to a 7-figure real estate agent or a property manager or a property owner and have 100 units, 1,000 units, whatever it is, you got to understand the law of transmutation of energy. And a good example here is I used to be an architect, and when I would sit with a homeowner, what they were doing is they had thought energy in their minds of the home they wanted to build. Maybe they went on house.com, maybe they went online, maybe they clipped some stuff out, maybe they drove around, but they would have thought energy of the home that they wanted to build, right? If anybody here has ever built a home, this is what you did. You were transmuting thought energy into the physical form. And what they would do is they would translate from their minds, right, to mine, that's not me, but to my mind, their thought energy. Everything's energy. It's a transference of energy. Does that make sense? So then we transfer this energy, right? We go back and forth. We have what we call meetings. And the next thing you know, I design the house, get the blueprints. We agree that, yes, what you have on paper is what I was trying to translate to you. And then I would take those drawings and I would go to my subcontractors. Next thing you know, an excavator shows up, right? Foundations poured. This is the physical form of the thought energy. Think about this. Really think about this. Now, the foundation guys don't know that they're doing this, but they're doing it. They're just working. They don't know that this was my thought energy into their mind to cause them to move their bodies. Right? Why would they know? We're not taught in schools. Framers show up. More contractors, right? Hundreds of contractors. We're starting to transmute that energy into the physical form of the thing. And eventually you have a, whatever this was, $7 million house in Weston. Something that was thought energy, now you have the physical form. Does that make sense, guys? Now I'm really going to prove this to you here. Since we all agree that you can't have the physical house without thinking about it first, right? Somebody has to think of every single house that's here, every building, the Hoover Dam, anything that it's ever created. Somebody somewhere has to think about it first, right? So it's impossible to have the physical form of the house without thinking about it. But we can all think of a house right here. We can think of a house in Maui with 4-stall garage with waterfall in the background, right on the beach, whatever it is. We can dream and think and visualize a future house. So if we can think about the house without having the physical form, but you have to have a thought to create the physical form, which one's more real? The physical house or the thought energy backed behind it? That one will bake your noodle. Think about it. It's impossible to have anything physical. Can't hold this, the suit. Nothing in this universe can happen without consciousness moving nothing into motion. That's how it all starts. The consciousness puts energy into motion. Now you're probably asking, how does this relate to real estate? That's how Keller Williams is formed. It doesn't have to be a physical thing. You can form a company that operates all over the world with thousands of people by transmuting energy to and through yourself into the minds of other people. It's called the mastermind principles. This is how this is all done. Right? So we don't know that we're transmuting energy. Every single one of you, you can't not do it. You're a conduit for energy flow. So most people, it's like this though, like I was. It's very chaotic. We don't know we're doing it, so we're kind of stumbling around. But if you look backwards, at some point you made a decision, ooh, he's hot or she's hot. Like you transmuted energy, you spoke, you connected, and you're married. And you did the same thing, you might have had kids. That's all a transmutation of energy. Then you want to build a house, well, this is what you did. Now the thing is, you're just not thinking about the big stuff. You're thinking about what can I do? That's the only difference, guys. This is not rocket science, it's not hard. We're just not taught to think bigger.
He went on to study with Bob Proctor. If any of you know Bob Proctor, he's a Canadian multimillionaire in human wealth performance and thought performance, I guess you could say. So he's actually Bob's #1 consultant globally, and very, very qualified to teach his stuff at a very high level. So please welcome Brian Del Masso.
So mentors, right? So I go back to that picture. Mentor, right? Mentor. You got to meet your mentors. You want to succeed at a high level? Go find somebody that's done it, make them your friend, and learn from them. And do it exactly what they say. Don't do some of what they say, right? My way wasn't working for the first 43 years. Wasn't working. I found somebody whose way was working, demonstrated by his results. Right? Now, I wasn't listening to what he said. I look at he's got a company that operates in 123 countries. He's 84 years old, still setting goals. Like his goal this year is to break $100 million. with his company. Still teaching, coaching, training. So he's 84, so he obviously knows something that most people don't, because most people they're either gone or one foot in the grave. They're not running around doing seminars in Australia and then Vegas. I mean, we jumped a jet right here. We were in Toronto. He did a full training. We jumped on a jet, went to the Bellagio. It's so cool. Got up the next morning. He did like a 4-hour seminar straight at 84 years old. We flew back and he started teaching. He didn't think anything of it. Think about that, 84 years old. It's a mindset. He doesn't hang out with old people. He doesn't hang out with old people. You become the people you hang out with. What do they talk about? He's talking about, how can I create new companies? Like, I'm just getting started. And then Damon John, I was down in New York City with him last week. We were, we have a clothing label. Well, anybody know FUBU? $6 billion clothing company? So where am I getting my information from? Right? It's not rocket science. Now, how do you make Damon John your friend? Well, that's a whole other thing. We probably have to schedule a strategy session for that one. But the thing that's cool about Damon is he started with this book. That's the cool thing. He started the same way I started, by coming across this book and then following that information. At 16 years old, and I don't know who gave it to him, where he got it. And if you know his backstory, I mean, he grew up in New York and not a nice neighborhood. Like, people were getting shot, killed, drugs. He was in a really bad environment. And he's what we call an unconscious competent. It means he took action, got in harmony with these principles, but he can't articulate why. And when I was down there last week talking with him, I talked to him about this, and his eyes just opened, you know? Because, I mean, millions of people read this book and nothing happens. Right? He was a scientist. He carried that around like a Bible. His friends thought he was crazy. Picture being in the Bronx and everybody's doing all this stuff, growing up, and this one kid has this book. Right? And he's just reading this book every day, reading this book every day, reading this book every day. That's part of the deal, guys, right? So you want to, in real estate, you want to find somebody that's modeling the behavior you want, whether it's in your company or whether it's Grant Cardone. Like, you'll see probably next year or towards the end of this year, I'll be getting trained by Grant Cardone. Like, he's somebody I'm going to train with. I've made the decision. He will become a friend, you know? And again, I don't say that to impress you. That's part of my journey. He's this close, or if not over $1 billion. I know he controls $1 billion in real estate now. So he obviously has demonstrated by his results that he knows what he's talking about. So that's worth spending my time and money. It'll probably cost 6 figures to sit with him. Now that shuts most people down, investing in themselves. We do this for free because people have a hang up. They don't even know what money is. So we want people to come, so we do it for free. We should be charging, $1,000 for this when you see the information, because it's life-changing. Right? So we're going to teach you how the 1% think.